Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Kubler and welcome to Caden's Corner. The New Orleans Saints have completely shocked the league, embarrassing the Panthers and the Cowboys through 2 weeks of the NFL season. A lot of this shock was because the Saints didn't make any huge adjustments this offseason. They didn't make any huge free agent moves. They didn't draft anybody that wowed everybody in the league. There's a lot of the same faces that are on this team from last year. Derek Carr, he received a lot of criticism last year as if he should even be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Head coach Dennis Allen was also on the hot seat after 2 mediocre seasons, and there was a lot of pressure coming into this year for him. You also had all the chatter this offseason with how good the division would be outside of the Carolina Panthers. You had the Falcons upgrade significantly, getting quarterback Kirk Cousins that could finally unlock all of the Falcons' weapons. You also had a Buccaneers team that won the division last year, won a playoff game, and re-signed Baker Mayfield, and would seemingly be in the exact same position they were in last year. And the Saints have come out absolutely on fire, and they've been the hottest team in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. In week 1, they absolutely dismantled Carolina at home 47-10. Derek Carr threw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. But it was Carolina, so let's see if they could do it against an actual opponent. Well, in week 2, they went on the road in Jerry's World and pulled off a huge win. Derek Carr had another good performance, and Alvin Kamara went nuclear with 4 touchdowns. Through 2 weeks for this offense, they've scored 91 points. They've had the ball 15 possessions. In every possession that the starters have had the ball, they've scored points on. Nobody looks at this Saints offense and thinks, wow, they can score 40 points a game on mediocre defenses. Well, the Cowboys have a good defense, and they put up 40 points on them. So what's been the biggest difference offensively for this team? Well, it's been the offensive line. The O-line has been playing out of their minds in the run game, in the pass game, in the play action game. Derek Carr has all day to sit back in the pocket and sling the rock. Now, they've also had some other notable players that have had a hot start to the season. Wide receiver Rashid Shaheed has really come on strong for the Saints team this year. He's emerged as this elite deep threat across the league, and he can take the top off a defense. He had a 59-yard touchdown against the Carolina Panthers, and then he had a 70-yard touchdown against the Cowboys. And we all know how good Chris Olave is. No matter who the quarterback is that's throwing the ball to Olave, he's a guy that can make plays. The Saints took him in the first round of the draft 2 years ago, and he's one of these prestigious wide receivers that have come out of Ohio State. But a huge difference, not to get all analytical or look at the offensive line or look at the great weapons, but it's been Derek Carr. He looks confident back there. He's having fun. He's letting it fly. It seems like a while ago, but prime Derek Carr was throwing for 4,000 yards every single season with the Raiders. And I don't think he's necessarily played at a high level since being in New Orleans or even at the end of his tenure with the Raiders, but Derek Carr can still sling the rock. Now, with this offensive line playing at a very high level, it means Alvin Kamara has been going nuts. The Saints bullied their first 2 opponents in the run game. Kamara had 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys this last weekend. And I think what's so cool to see with this offense is that they're marrying the play action with this dominant run game so well. And I think this is the reason why you're seeing this offense play so well. On one hand, the Saints can dominate you at the line of scrimmage with this elite offensive line and with an explosive back that is Alvin Kamara. And on the other hand, they can fake the handoff to Kamara, and this offensive line can sit back there and protect for Carr all day long until he finds his explosive guys like Shaheed or Olave on the outside. And I know we're only talking about 2 weeks right here, but this offense has been playing out of its mind. But we're going to find out how legit this team is throughout the next 4 weeks. They have a 4-week stretch that is absolutely brutal. Now, starting it off this weekend, they're going to play the Eagles at home. I absolutely love this matchup for the Saints. Philly since last year hasn't been great defensively, and they've carried it over into this year. Bijan ran it all over them on Monday Night Football. Josh Jacobs was able to run it all over them in Brazil, and I expect Alvin Kamara to do the same exact thing. I also really think New Orleans can attack this week's secondary. Green Bay was able to expose the secondary. So many teams last year were able to expose the secondary, and I think if the Saints need to drop back, they will find success against this weak Philly defense. Week 4, they'll go on the road against a divisional opponent in the Atlanta Falcons. With both of these teams trending upwards right now, I expect them to split throughout the season. So if you give the Saints a loss right here, I'm not overreacting about it. And then the following week, they'll go on the road in Kansas City to play the reigning defending champions in the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, whether you want to go out there and admit it or not, is the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. We know how great this offense is, but this defense is legit. Chris Jones is a mammoth of a man on the defensive line, and the Saints offense is going to have a real tough time going against him. So we're really going to see how legit this run game is against this tough Chiefs defense. And then they'll wrap up this brutal 4-game stretch at home against Tampa Bay. I also think they split this season series against them as well. So the Saints are going to have their work cut out for them the next 4 weeks. I know everybody's been getting all up in a lather about how great this team is, but we're going to see how legit they are over the next 4 weeks. A lot of people like to overreact over 1 week, now 2 weeks, when you see a team score 91 points or score on 15 straight possessions. I think it's all great, but we need a bigger sample size. Carolina is by far the worst team in the league, and Dallas tends to sometimes just lay an egg. But right now through 2 weeks, I'm not fully buying this Saints hype like everybody else is. Derek Carr is a great guy, but he's an above average quarterback at best, and he's probably not even a top 10 quarterback in the NFC. At the end of the day, the NFL is a quarterback driven league, and even more so in the postseason. I need to see more from Derek Carr and this explosive offense before I start crowning them as Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.